At one of her appointments, a young girl confessed that she would not allow her parents to comb her hair. But the hairdresser's discovery next was so unsettling, she immediately called the cops. "You don't understand. Don't touch my hair, and I'm not touching yours," Clara snapped, her arms shielding her head like a remora blocking a shark. Her mother, Lisa, threw her hands up and sighed exasperatedly. "Clara, this is ridiculous. You haven't brushed your hair all year. It's becoming unmanageable." Clara's defiance was nothing new, but the past few weeks it had taken a dangerous turn. Lisa didn't know when it happened, but her bubbly and outgoing 14-year-old had withdrawn into herself. Clara had always prided herself on her trousseau of brown waves, but now her hair was a muddle of tangles and snarls, a greasy brain-eater that lacked even the pathetic shine of a front-room rubber plant. Lisa picked at Clara's hand, attempting to talk sense into her. "It's just a visit to Mrs. Turner's salon, honey. You've always liked her. She's so gentle and kind." "No," Clara shouted, recoiling from the warmth. "I just don't want anybody touching me." Lisa froze, struck by the force of her daughter's voice. Clara's words were serious teenage rebellion. They bore a note of fear that sent a chill through her. That evening, Lisa called Mrs. Elaine Turner, her trusted hairdresser in their small town. Elaine was known for her patience and understanding, especially with children. Lisa explained, her voice laced with anxiety. "I think something's wrong, Elaine. Clara's not herself anymore, and her hair is worse than I thought. Can you help?" Elaine agreed to check it out, booking an early appointment so they could have privacy. The next morning, Lisa lured Clara to the car with promises of ice cream afterward. Clara said she would come, but wouldn't take off the hoodie she wore, even as the summer sun beat down. At the salon, Elaine welcomed them, and her cool presence helped to take the edge off Lisa's anxiousness. "Hi, Clara. So glad to have you visiting me today," Elaine said in a light and cheerful tone. Clara gave a tight smile, but remained silent as Elaine guided her to the chair. As Lisa took a seat on the other side of the room, Elaine started examining Clara's hair. Elaine carefully combed through Clara's hair, wincing at what she saw. The mats were extreme, but that is not what frightened her. At the crown of Clara's head, there were patches of dark discoloration in her scalp. In some places, sticky clumps of unknown origin had solidified. In others, what appeared to be mud or dried-up residue covered the surfaces. "Clara, sweetheart," Elaine said gently, "how long has your hair been like this?" Clara didn't answer, staring at her lap. Elaine glanced at Lisa, who had stood up, worried. "What's wrong?" Lisa asked. "I don't know yet," Elaine said, her voice steady. "But I have to be careful with this. There's more than tangles here." Lisa's face paled. "I've been begging her to let me help her, but she won't let me. I thought that it was just a phase." She took a breath as a wave of guilt started to rise. Clara shifted in her seat. "Can we just stop?" she muttered. "Not yet, honey," Elaine answered softly. "I just want to make sure that everything's okay. I'll be as gentle as I can, I promise." As Elaine was working, she saw Clara pull away every time she touched some of her scalp. The girl's reactions weren't simply a result of discomfort. They were from pain. Elaine hesitated, dread bubbling up inside her. "Clara, does your head hurt when I touch it?" "Yes," Clara faltered before nodding slightly. Lisa held the line, realization starting to dawn on her. "Why didn't you tell me that you were in pain?" Clara shrugged, tears coming to her eyes. "It doesn't matter." Elaine waved her hand and escaped into the back room. She needed to pause and plan her approach. She sent a quick text to her husband, a retired social worker, explaining what she had seen and asking for some advice. Her husband's response was swift. "Look for signs of neglect or abuse. This might be more than a personal thing." Harnessing the power of social media, Elaine realized a new strategy was in order after returning to the salon floor. "Clara," she said softly, "I'm not mad at you, and your mom isn't mad at you either. But I believe there is something deep that you are scared to discuss. You can trust me, okay?" Clara's lip trembled, but she did not speak. As Elaine went through another section of hair, she felt a small, hard thing in the mat. And then her heart sunk when she understood it had not been a coincidence. It seemed to have been intentionally left there. "Back to Lisa," Elaine said in a conspiratorial voice. "I'm discovering things in her hair that shouldn't be there. I need to figure this out more, but this isn't normal." "My knees went weak," Lisa said. "What do you mean, things? Like what?" Elaine paused, not wanting to frighten her more. "It's a hard thing to explain right now, but I promise that I'm going to be as careful as I can." Clara suddenly leapt from the chair, running down the floor toward the bathroom. The click of the lock echoed in the salon. Lisa's voice broke when she called after her. "Clara, come out. Please, talk to us." Elaine gave Lisa a comforting pat on the shoulder. "Let's give her a moment. She's scared of something." Clara sobbed inside the bathroom, leaning against the door. She was not ready to tell the truth, not yet. The memories of what happened were too fresh, too painful. Outside, Elaine and Lisa shared worried glances, the air thick with unspoken fear. Elaine left the salon for a while, then returned, her head spinning. The hair and the tangle of long, wispy threads weren't the only things not right. She glanced at Lisa, who was nervously tapping her foot, glancing at the bathroom door. "I'll speak to her again when she comes out," Elaine said gently. Lisa nodded, but without conviction. "For months, she's been shutting me out, Elaine. I feel like I'm doing something wrong, but I have no idea what it is." Elaine knelt next to Lisa and spoke in a lowered voice. "Have you heard if there's been anything on the books recently? At school, maybe? Bullies? A fight? Anything unusual?" Lisa furrowed her brow in thought. "A few months ago, there was one day when Clara came home really upset. I didn't know why, and she couldn't tell me what had happened, but I thought it was just a bad day. After that, she began to wear hoodies all the time and refused to comb her hair. I ought to have asked more questions." The bathroom door creaked open, and there was Clara, hood still pulled tight over her head. She paused on the threshold, glancing back and forth between her mother and Elaine. "Honey, why don't we take a break and have a little chat?" Elaine said gently. "If you don't want to, you don't have to sit in the chair." Clara hesitated, then nodded a bit. She sat at the end of a sofa in the corner, clutching her knees. Lisa stood next to her. "If something's wrong, sweetheart, you can tell us. We just want to help." For a moment, it looked like Clara might let it all out. Her mouth opened, but she couldn't speak. Instead, she looked away at the wall. Elaine thought she would take a gentler tack. "You know, Clara, I've had a lot of kids come in with tangled hair before. It's either that they don't know what to do with it, or something happened, and they feel they can't. Whatever it is, it's fine to have that conversation." Clara shifted uncomfortably. "It's not that simple," she said. "Why not?" Lisa asked, her voice shaking. Hands in fists, Clara shook with rage. "Because they told me that I couldn't tell," she whispered, so faint that it was barely a sound. Elaine met Lisa's gaze, and the women were alarmed. "Who says you weren't supposed to tell?" Elaine said gently. Clara closed her eyes, and tears streamed down her cheeks. Lisa stepped closer, her heart shattering. "Honey, nobody is going to hurt you. You're safe here, I promise." Clara buried her face in her knees and said no more. "If you don't mind, I'm just going to re-examine. I will be as gentle as I can be, and you can ask me to stop at any moment," Elaine said. Clara nodded weakly, her body stiff. As Elaine continued with her painstaking task, she found another patch of matted hair in which something unusual caught her attention. Embedded in the snarls were bits of a small, dried, sticky substance. It had a faint odor of chemicals, and there were more patches of dark discoloration on Clara's scalp. "What is this?" Elaine said under her breath. Clara flinched. "It's nothing." Elaine's voice was calm but nonetheless authoritative. "Darling, this doesn't look like nothing. Did somebody put something in your hair?" The silence from Clara was deafening. Elaine laid down her tools. Her chest felt tight with dread. She turned to Lisa. "I believe it's time for a real talk here. This is not just a matter of messy hair." Lisa glanced at her daughter, an expression of fear and determination on her face. "Clara, please, whatever it was, we can make it right. Just tell us." Clara started to breathe faster, and for a moment it looked as if she, too, might run. But this time Elaine put a hand on her shoulder. "You're safe here, Clara. No one is going to hurt you. However, I want to know what happened so I can assist." Clara paused and finally said in a whisper, "It was in school." Lisa froze. "At school? What happened?" Clara dabbed tears from her eyes. Her voice choked. "It was a few girls. They trapped me in the bathroom. They called me ugly and stupid and poured glue in my hair." Her voice trembling, she descended into sobs. Lisa put her hands to her mouth, tears coursing down her cheeks. "Oh my God, Clara, you didn't tell me." "They said they would do it worse if I told anybody," Clara choked out. Lisa felt a mix of anger and sadness. She gently hugged Clara. "So sorry this has happened to you, baby girl, but you didn't do anything wrong, and this was not your fault." Lisa knelt before Clara's side, rubbing her back. "We're going to fix this. Those girls won't get away with it, I promise you." Elaine drew in a breath, her tone even but resolute. "Lisa, you might want to contact the authorities, and this isn't just bullying, it's abuse." "No," Clara said with a panic. "No, you can't. They'll know it was me." Elaine squatted down to look at Clara. "They are not going to hurt you anymore, I swear. But we need to ensure that they are held accountable." "You're not in this alone, Clara." Lisa hesitated, conflicted between her daughter's fear and the demand for justice. Finally, she nodded. "Elaine's right. We need to do this." Elaine had the cops on her phone, taking the call to the back room, hands shaking as she explained the situation. When she returned, she discovered Clara resting against her mother, finding comfort. She had just tightened her grip on her mother's arm when the police car arrived. Clara was shaking, and Lisa spoke to comfort her. Two officers stepped inside the salon with enough of a professional yet concerned expression that Lisa could rest easy. Elaine calmly began explaining the situation. Detective Susan Miller knelt down to Clara's level, her tone steady. "Hi, Clara. My name's Susan. We're here to help you, and I can promise you're safe with us. Can you tell me a little bit about what happened?" Clara remained silent, her face buried against Lisa's side. Elaine, hovering nearby, gently countered. "She's terrified, but we've found enough here to demonstrate this is no mere bad hair day." Elaine pointed toward her tools and the materials she had discovered, gluey clumps and other things stuck in Clara's hair. Detective Miller stared at the materials, frowning. "This seems pretty intentional," she said to her partner, Daniels. Lisa's voice faltered as she spoke. She said a group of girls at school dumped glue in her hair and threatened her. She has been too afraid to tell anyone. Clara's tiny, pained voice broke through. "They said I deserved it. If I told, they told me they'd find me again." Detective Miller's eyes softened as she squatted down. "Clara, I know this is scary, but what those girls did to you is very wrong, and it's not your fault. They broke you, and it's our duty to ensure they don't break anyone else." Clara poked her head out from behind Lisa, her tear-stained face full of worry. "What if they don't stop?" "They will," Miller told her with conviction, "because we will see to it that they do, and we will keep you safe." Meanwhile, as Miller asked additional questions, Elaine worked on Clara's hair with extreme delicacy. It took some time, but she discovered spots where the glue had congealed so deeply that it had given Clara sores on her scalp. Other sections showed broken strands and evidence of patches torn out with force. Elaine hesitated, her hands trembling. "This wasn't just like a one-time occurrence," she said quietly, her voice heavy with anger and sadness. Lisa looked terrified. "What do you mean?" Elaine hesitated. "It can take time for these types of injuries to develop. It appears this has been happening for months." The silence from Clara was all the confirmation they required. Miller stood, tone firm. "First, we will find out who the girls involved are and get their statements. If you're ready, Clara, we'd like your help, but only when you feel safe enough to do so." The officers left with Elaine's evidence and a promise to follow up. Clara appeared drained, as though the burden of months of terror and embarrassment was finally crashing down around her. Elaine tenderly chopped away Clara's damaged hair until all that was left were a few short and well-styled strands. "There," she said with a smile. "You look radiant, Clara, and resilient." Clara looked at herself in the mirror and ran her fingers through the recently cut strands. A tiny, shy smile appeared on her face for the first time in months. In the weeks that followed, the investigation took place. Sure enough, Clara knew who the girls were, and with all the evidence the police collected, along with Elaine's testimony, the girls were brought up on charges. The school had to respond, suspending the girls and putting new anti-bullying policies in place. Clara tried to hold things together, and the community still rallied around her. Elaine was a frequent flyer at their house, slowly but surely helping Clara regain her confidence. But Lisa battled guilt. One evening, sitting with Elaine on the back porch, she fell apart. "I should have noticed sooner. I could have done better when she began distancing herself." Elaine put a comforting hand on her shoulder. "You did all you could with what you knew, Lisa, and when it came down to it, you fought for her. That's what counts." Clara was slowly finding herself again, inside. Regular therapy sessions with a kind counselor allowed her to process the trauma, eventually prompting her to share more about her journey. Clara made new friends at school who took a stand beside her and had her engage with activities she once enjoyed. Months after the incident, Clara's life had started to reshape itself, but the road to healing was not over, and even now, Clara was still having moments of wondering if she was worthy. One morning, Clara was at the kitchen table, doodling in her notebook. Lisa set a plate of pancakes in front of her. "You look deep in thought," Lisa said gently. Clara shrugged, gazing at her drawing. It was a photo of a tree with shattered branches, yet deep roots. "I sometimes think that people are nice to me because they feel sorry for me." Lisa plopped down beside her, wrapping Clara in a side hug. "Sweetheart, you've been through so much. People care for you because of who you are, not because they pity you. You are courageous, good, and skilled. Never forget that." Clara smiled faintly, but did not reply. Later that day, Elaine dropped by with a surprise. She came into the house carrying a box wrapped in colorful paper. "Hey, Clara, I got you something." "What is it?" Clara asked. "Open it and see," Elaine said, smiling. Inspired, Clara ripped off the wrapping paper, revealing a set of professional art supplies: paints, brushes, pencils, a sketch pad. Her face brightened with excitement. "This is amazing. Thank you so much." Elaine winked. "Your mom told me you've been doing a lot of drawing lately. I figured you might need some tools." As the weeks went by, Clara started using art to express herself. Filled with pieces that reflected a part of her journey, she painted vibrant pictures of strength, resilience, and hope. Her therapist had suggested she share her work. At the same time, Elaine was a close friend and mentor, and her salon was a refuge for Clara, a hotbed of encouragement. For the first time in a long time, Clara felt empowered to meet whatever came next. Sitting in her room one evening, drawing a new picture, she remembered the day at the salon that changed everything. Yes, the fear, the pain, the uncertainty, they were still hers as well, but so too were the courage, the love, and the unfaltering support of the people in her orbit. And for that she was thankful. Are small actions enough to conceal great secrets? What would you have done in the hairdresser's position? Thank you for watching. Join us next time for more gripping and unforgettable stories.